have, by the way. But, I mean, why would you say that? I mean, I would never say I'm going to go to a victim and kill their surviving family members, or I hope somebody does. I would never say that. So, yeah, man, it's, believe me, if anybody gives you shit, man, you know, I got to slow down on the drinking. So I'm getting mad. tell them to go fuck themselves. That's the answer, pretty much. Don't fuck yourself.
Hey, I agree with that 100% because it's just like, you know what, fuck you. Because if you don't like it, tough. You know, we could sit here and we could have a conversation about Hitler's Germany, and the atrocities that took place are way worse than the things we could talk about with serial killers, and nobody would bat an eye.
And people collect that stuff. Yeah, we can have a discussion, and as long as, God forbid you two were German, though, and you had shaved heads, even if you were, like, say, going bald, but if you had a shaved head, I got called a skinhead once. I was at a horror convention when I was speaking on a panel, and I had my head shaved, and I was wearing a little skinny Reservoir Dogs type tie. I had a Baphomet or a pentagram lapel pin, and this retired FBI agent asked me if I was a neo-Nazi. And I'm like, what? Well, you have the goatee and the shaved head. And they go, and that makes me a Nazi? Well, the skinny tie and the pentagram. I said, skinheads and Nazis with ties and pentagrams? What are you talking about? Like, she obviously didn't go look at my exhibit because I visited tons of African American, Hispanic, Asian, transgendered inmates. You know, I'm anything but a neo-Nazi. I couldn't believe this woman. And she was trying to say that she was one of Ted Bundy's potential victims. Bundy killed hot.
Oh, that dumb bitch. Is it that dumb bitch?
The only thing I could say, yeah, the years weren't kind to her. Jesus. Are you sure Bundy tried to kill you?
She's full of
shit.
You
like that your whole life, man. Bundy must have been having a bad day trying to pick you up.
Yeah. Nobody's buying that shit for not for a second.
Yeah, you couldn't pay
that.
me to have sex with that woman. She not only is she rude, she's there it is. She's ugly on the inside and the outside. There it is. Call me a neo-Nazi. There's a reason I don't drink and do these things. I told you guys I shouldn't be drinking.
That's all right. Here should I. Dude,
yeah.
I got to tell you, on the Manson show, I got so drunk by the end of the show, I was asking the guy, Vic, are you there? You got to tell me, are you there, Vic? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
What the fuck was Scott Michaels from? It was Dearly Departed Tours in California.
Yeah, Dearly Departed Tours. Yeah.
I got so drunk I accidentally ran him off on the Manson show. It happened.
Oh,
sorry.
Man, dude, Scott's a great guy, dude. I like that guy a lot.
He is.
He's always been very kind to me.
I felt bad. He's a cool dude. I was just too drunk.
If you're ever in Los Angeles, folks, look, Dearly Departed Tours, it's an excellent tour. They do a general tragedies tour. They do a great Helter Skelter tour. Go down and check them out, man. It's a good tour. It's a lot of fun. It's a way to kill 3.5 hours. It's good time. If you're lucky, you'll get to go by the George Michael Memorial Restroom where he got popped for trying to suck that cop's dick. Wow. It's actually, sometimes it's on the tour. They take you to that restroom. It's hilarious. And it's a check-in on Facebook. You can check in. George Michael Memorial Restroom. It's a thing.
I'm really good at taking us off track, so I'm gonna get back to.
I know, man. Me too.
I was going to say, I'll get back to Bittaker and Norris because I wanted to ask you a question. All right, so, they warmed up to you. They like you. That's awesome. I like that you're able to form that bond, whatever the bond may be. Have they expressed gratitude to you that, you take time out of your life to come visit them? And I don't know. I mean, because I got to assume that that's one of the bright spots of their life is that your visits have to mean something to them.
Bittaker did this was one of his earlier pieces to me. He did a painting. Well, what happened was in prison you have a prison number, and it's it's the number that's attached next to your name. Well, I decided, since I've been incarcerated before, I decided to do a little prison tower on an envelope, like I used to do them when I was incarcerated, and I put my wife's and my name in the corner, and then I put L and the number sign, and I put our wedding anniversary. All spelled out, 04, and I had the date out in numbers. And when I wrote Norris, I had his, and I said, I put my my love number, my wedding anniversary, or my wedding anniversary. And Norris thought that was so interesting. He sent me a painting with a wave, and inside the ocean wave, the foam made an L with a number sign, and my wedding anniversary. And that was just one way he showed, a bit of gratitude, I guess you could say. Bittaker has sent me, I couldn't even begin to start naming the gifts. I mean, some of them let's just put it this way. They've always found instant little ways to say thank you to me, whether it's when they're clearing out their cell and, they'll just send me all the excess paperwork, junk, court proceedings. I'll get a stack of paper and be going through every single thing, and you'll find like an old appeal form that Bill Bonin signatures on. Like when you're going through Bittaker stuff, and you'll find a Rodney or Cal, a signed handkerchief that just happens to be in there. Bittaker just he put it. They both have their own way. Bittaker likes to make little fancy things. He's good at doing fingerprint charts. Norris, on the other hand, just likes to do paintings. Or he'll do envelopes. But like I said, every once in a while, they'll just, when they're throwing away all their old stuff, old fans, and these aren't things that I sell. These are things that I keep. They're sent to me. They're for me. And my wife, and friends, family, they're like, what's that in your display there? I said, oh, it's a hot pot. What's that? It's a pot for cooking food. Why do you have it? I said, well, it broke. You have a broken hot cooker in your... Oh, yeah, but it came from my friend Roy. And the people just shaking their heads. Why would you even have that thing displayed? And I kind of have to agree sometimes. I've got some real junk in frames and shadow boxes. But for me, that's just what I'm into. Everybody's got their thing. Guys that like baseball, I'm sure they like to collect, baseball mitts, baseballs. I'm sure when they go to the games, maybe they save their ticket stub in the pop they got or the beer glass for whatever the game was. So, it's all the little tidbits are cool, whether it's a rock from the apartment they used to live in. Obviously, that's not the sort of thing they can send to you, but when you develop a good rapport and you start getting little unique gifts, like things like when an inmate gives you one of their teeth, then you know you're doing good. Because there's only so many teeth in your mouth. When you get a tooth, then you're getting high on their list.
So one of the things that I was wondering about is that, you developed this rapport with them. I mean, you visited between the two like over 150 times. Is there anything that, like, you want to ask them that you've never been able to ask them just because it's uncomfortable to ask and it's one of those things that's like on the tip of your tongue, or do you just say whatever the fuck you want now?
Not with Bittaker and Norris. There's nothing I mean, there's a couple things that I'd maybe like to ask Larry, but just the only reason why I haven't been able to ask him is we haven't been talking as of late. But outside of that, no, there's really nothing there. I know everything that I want to know, and that's all there is, to it. I'm not shy, and I ask. Like I did this with Bittaker, and I did it with Norris. Are you comfortable? May I ask any questions about your case? Yeah, sure. Go, let's start with victim number 1. What do you mean? I go, tell me how your morning went. How does somebody wake up in the morning and at the end of the day have a girl they're raping in the back of their truck or van? Tell me how that day starts. I've never started a day like that's ended like that. I'm just kind of curious. Was it spontaneous? And, a whole shebang of questions. I've asked. I should have written the answers and most of them down. It kind of sucks that I wasn't, thinking for posterity reasons. But again, I didn't do this for anything other than just sort of like fun, I guess you could say, just for my own personal curiosity. Whether people want to call it morbid or not, that's kind of on them.
Yeah, do they ever get weird? I mean, Bittaker and Norris, do they ever get weird about the questions you have for them? Because again, you're an open book, but are they?
Not in person. It's different when you're writing a letter or even talking over the phone. When you're sitting with a person, there's a degree of, it's real. You're sitting in front of a person and talking to them. Just like if I were to meet you at, let's say, a bar and we sit down, it's a different atmosphere because you're in a visiting room. But there's other people around. It's boisterous. People are laughing. People are crying. Visiting rooms can be sad, especially when you see families that haven't seen each other in a while. You just felt you just feel, bad for especially the families, that they didn't do anything to deserve this. I try to have upbeat, happy-go-lucky visits, and for the most part, we always have. They've never, they've never asked me. In fact, when I've had questions like, advice, and they've always been fairly honest and been pretty straight shooters. I can't think of any time I've ever felt not with them for sure. I don't think I've ever been very uncomfortable per se with a visitor. Not like I've never been scared, like they were going to attack me or kill me. That was never really a concern. If that's what you were driving at.
No. I just wanted to kind of get a vibe for what they're like to be around. How's their health these days? I mean, because they're getting up there.
Well, Bittaker's getting old. When they allowed smoking, Charles Ing used to tell me, and I'm doing his voice as best I can, and this isn't me trying to be bigoted or racist about Asian people, but he is sick. Yeah, Bittaker lucky they took the cigarettes because he was looking like Skeletor. That's exactly how he would say it. He said he looked so bad, like they did him a favor, taking the tobacco. And I've seen some older pictures of Larry. He didn't look the best, but no, Norris, they're both getting older in age. Larry's housed on a bottom tier. Norris was recently moved to Donovan in San Diego, which is a facility designed for, older inmates. There's not as many youngsters around. They don't have to worry about fighting. And surprisingly, Bittaker told me he hasn't really had that, especially with the new SNY, sensitive needs yard. I mean, he says he can go, when he was in Corcoran, he just go out to the yard and take a nap. Like, that's how non-threatening the yard was. I mean, if you're on the main line, when I was in prison, you didn't sleep on the yard. I mean, you didn't go to the yard without having boots on, just in case something kicked off. You never went to the yard drunk. You never went, there was he's talking about going out to the yard, he's like, you could sit down and, take a nap and, that isn't, and it wasn't always like that. I mean, Roy told me a story once where they put him on the wrong classification and actually sent him to a main line where he could have been killed. So, Roy's now in an active yard, and if they knew what he was there for, he'd have been killed. But he knew how to play his cards. He asked for paperwork, and when they asked for his, he says, I haven't been classified yet. As soon as he went into classification, he's like, why am I here? And the sergeant's looking over everything, the lieutenant's looking over, and they're like, escort him to R&R now, and which means receiving and releasing. And, they had to get rid of him fast because he'd been killed. And, he said, that waiting to get classified, because it takes a couple of days, he goes, it was nerve-wracking. All it would take was for one person to say, wait a minute, aren't you Roy Norris, from L.A.? The only thing that was Norris' saving grace is there's a founding Aryan brother whose last name is Norris. And he sometimes would get confused as for him just because of the last name. And he was hoping that's what people thought when he told me that particular story.
Yeah. Okay, so I got a funny story, or a story that I've heard before, and I wanted to know if you ever brought it up to Bittaker. It's the story of him being a vexatious litigant where he's filed over 40 frivolous lawsuits, like being served a broken cookie. Have you ever talked to him about that? Because I find that shit hilarious.
This is the thing. It's not a broken cookie. The problem is they were serving their sandwiches put together, bologna on bread. They would come soggy. The food would always be cold. The cookies would be broken. It was mainly the sandwiches. They would come put together, and like the peanut butter and jelly. Excuse me. Hey, no, stop it! What is this? What is the big deal? My dog is just barking for no reason. Good puppy. No, and it was the thing was he brought that appeal as far as he could. I mean, he fought it, and you know what? They denied that appeal at the highest level, but they made all the changes he wanted. They wouldn't give him the credit for making the changes, but after that, they began packaging the bread separate, the meat separate, cookies came in packages. There was a purpose, but of course, CDCR, these inmates file frivolous lawsuits. I mean, the cookie lawsuit cost $2,000. Yeah, it cost $2,000, but it affected, I don't know at the time, it was 100-some-odd-thousand inmates. That was whenever the time that was in California. It changed all their meals for the better. So it's very misleading. You got to be very. This is just like crime books. If